Hi. Welcome to this tutorial, where we will show you how to create, set up, and run a new competition in the Strength Results system. First, let me take this opportunity to apologize in advance for my somewhat monotone voice. I've not yet fully mastered pitch, inflection, and emphasis in the English language, and this won't be the most action-filled video you've encountered, but I'll hope you'll bear with me. I'm going to show you some pretty interesting stuff along the way. Now, let's start off by browsing to the Competitions menu and choose the Create New option. You will find three options: Create New Competition, Run Test Competition, and Submit Already Finished Competition. If you want to submit an already finished competition, to make the results accessible on Strength Results, choose the last option. If you want to create a real competition that will be public and can be seen by everyone, then choose the option Create New Competition. All three options will take you through 5 steps, of more or less identical settings. In this tutorial we will choose the option Run Test Competition, which will allow us to test all features connected with running a competition, without actually making it visible for other members on Strength Results. We will start at the first of the 5 setting steps, the General Competition Information, which will require us to enter such details as competition name, location, start time and more. If you are unsure of what values to type in the empty fields, or if you just want to skip ahead fast, you can press the button called Fill All Fields with Example Values. This will automatically fill all fields with example values. If you are unsure about something along the way, there are extensive helps that can be found by pressing the corresponding question mark buttons. Fields that are required are indicated by red asterisks. Start by selecting the strength discipline that will be contested. We are going to run a strongman competition. Enter the competition name. Make sure that the name ends with a year, or a combination of the year and an identifier. We are using the name Sweden's Strongest Man 2021 Qualifier 1. Alternative names are an optional field, which can be seen by the omission of the red asterisks. It is also indicated in writing that the field is optional. We are entering 2 alternative names separated by a comma. SSM 2021 Qualifier 1, which is a common abbreviation, and Sveriges Starkaste Man 2021, Kval, et, which is the Swedish full name for the competition. Select the country where the competition is to be held. Enter the city where the competition is to be held. Select the weight class, or, if the exact weight class is not available in the list, select the weight class or division that best corresponds to the competition's true weight class or division. The actual weight class name, if different from the one selected in the list, can be entered in the optional field below. Name of weight class, division. Here we simply choose Men Open. Select age group. We choose Senior, Open, which includes any age. Select or enter the start date of the competition. Then select or enter a start time. Select the time zone corresponding to the location of the competition. In the next section we are going to choose the competition type. The type of competition is a classification property that will group the competition with all similar competitions, or the same competition from previous years. This classification is needed in order for the results of the competition to be placed properly in the statistics. If the correct type is not yet defined in the system, it will have to be created. You can search for an existing competition type by either the drop-down or by using the search. We are setting up a qualifier for Sweden's Strongest Man. It can be located directly in the list and selected. Or, if you're not entirely sure what you are looking for, or find it hard to browse through the long list, you can filter on national qualifiers and then locate it. A competition may belong to several competition types. For example, Europe's Strongest Man is also a Giants Live competition, and would thus have 2 types. If the competition type you need does not exist, and you feel that it is too complicated to create a new, or if you feel the competition does not need its own type, for example if it is a special event that will only be held once, you can select one of the general types that exist in the list. Click on the help link to read more about this. In the last field we can enter information about the competition that will be available for competitors and the public to view, such as travel arrangements, location specifics, athlete briefings, weigh-in, and more. If you will let competitors sign up through Strength Results, which is handled in the next settings step, you can enter specific sign-up information there. We are now finished with the first settings step, and we press the Next and Save button to move to the next step. A pop-up now appears, in which you have to confirm that this is a test competition that you are setting up. In the case where you create a real competition, you have to confirm that it is a real competition that you are setting up. We are now at the second of the 5 steps, a section where we will handle competitor settings. In the first section we can enable to allow competitors to sign up for this competition through the Strength Results system. If selected, the functionality is added to the competition's home page. There are many benefits of using this functionality. Manual administrative work will be lowered. Competitor profiles will be created by those signing up, and the list of signed-up competitors will always be up to date and public. How the actual sign-up process works from a competitor's side, we will take a look at within short. Select or enter the last date at which the competitors can sign up. Then select or enter the last time at which the competitors can sign up. Select the time zone corresponding to the location of the competition. In the last field of this section, we can write specific information related to the sign-up process, such as fees and restrictions. The information will be viewable to visitors of the competition homepage. We will add a request for the competitors to specify their t-shirt sizes. In the next section we can manually add competitors that we know are going to compete in the competition. We can use this as an alternative to, or in combination with allowing the competitors to sign up for themselves. You can either search for existing profiles, or create new. We will start by searching and add an existing profile belonging to Eddie Hall. When added, short information will be shown about the profile that can be studied to verify that you have truly selected the profile you intended. Further down, in the competitor list, we can see that the profile has been added. Now, let's use the search again to add another profile. This time we select Hafthor Julius Björnsson, aka The Mountain. We verify the profile and confirm that the competitor has been added to the list. Now, these profiles were already in the system. Such will be the case for all competitors that have participated in a competition that is already in the Strength Results system. But for those that haven't, and if we assume for now that the competitors will not sign up by themselves, we will need to create new profiles. We do this by pressing Create New Profile. A pop-up opens up, a unit of itself that will take you through the process of creating a profile. Enter first and family name separated by a space. This should be in the Roman alphabet. Some special characters are not allowed. Enter one at a time: native language names, non-Roman alphabet names, abbreviations, nicknames and alternative spellings and names under alternative names. Select the competitor's gender. Select the country the competitor represents. Enter the competitor's birth date. If we don't know it at this point, we can leave it out for now, and then return and fill it out later, when the information is available to us. Do note that all profiles need to have their birth date set on the competition day for us to be able to start the competition. To demonstrate the process of having profiles with missing birth date, we check the Missing Birth Date checkbox. The rest of the fields are optional. Fill in those that you have information about. We will specify the height of our competitor, since we know he is 185 centimeters tall. The rest we leave out, and we are now finished with creating the profile. We click the button, Save and Select. This closes the pop-up and takes us back to the competitor settings step. We verify that the competitor has been added by checking the list at the bottom of the page. Next in this process will be to demonstrate how a competitor can sign up to our competition. Please note that the sign up will not be available until all 5 steps of the settings are completed, but for the sake of keeping with the flow of this tutorial we have bypassed that limitation. First though, we have to save our settings. We do this by clicking Next and Save. We will now open a new tab and navigate to the competition homepage to demonstrate the sign-up process. We can do this from the menu by browsing to Competitions, and then, Created by Me. Or, we can also browse to Competitions and then, Find, which will be the route the competitors will take to locate the competition. We can locate our competition in the Upcoming tab. That it is a test competition can be seen by the red-colored text. Note that this particular competition is not viewable by anyone else than us, who created the competition. And once again, please note that the competition will in ordinary circumstances not appear here until all 5 settings steps are completed. Head over to the Sign Up View tab. For competitors to be able to sign up, they will need to have a profile connected to their Strength Results accounts. This is managed in the Account settings. We already have a competitor profile connected to our account, so the sign-up is available to us. Reading the information text below, we can see that they need us to state our t-shirt size. If needed, or wanted, write a message. Press the Sign Me Up button. We then verify in the list below that our profile has been added. The profile name is included and marked as waiting approval. This will change later on when the competition administrator, which is us in this case, approves us as a competitor. We now close this tab and return to our original, where we also head back to the competitors step into our competitor list. Here we refresh the list and the new competitor appears. If we had reloaded the competition, the competitor would, of course, have been visible without the refresh. We can approve or reject the profile. To reject, press the Bin button. To approve, press the A button. A pop-up appears, explaining that you need to press the Next and Save button to execute your changes. It also explains that an automatic email will be sent to the account holder of the profile. This email will be sent whether we approved or rejected the profile, notifying of the outcome. There is more functionality to explore in this step. For example, if we want to get hold of a list of all the emails to the competitors that have signed up, we press the Get Email List to All Competitors button. At this point we only have one competitor that have signed up, while the list will only contain one email. If we wanted to get hold of a list of all the messages from the competitors that have signed up, we press the Get Sign Up Text from All Competitors button. Here we can see the message that we wrote previously, when we signed up with our profile. If we want to shuffle the competitor's start order, we can press the Shuffle Start Order button. This, however, is most commonly done just before the start of the competition. It replaces the hassle of having to draw the start order manually. At competition day, we can add the competitor's body weight, either in pounds or in kilos. This is optional, but provides both interesting and useful information that is later used in statistics. In the competitor list, click the Edit icon, under the body weight column. Choose your desired unit. Fill in the body weight. We are now finished with this step. We press Next and Save to proceed. We are now at the third of the 5 steps, a section where we will handle event settings. At the top we can choose what default measurement unit to use. We can still change this for each event individually if wanted later, and at this point we keep the pre-selected choice of metric system. To make it easier to find specific events that we are looking for, we can use a filter. We will keep our filter on strongman events. The first event we want to add in this tutorial is the Farmer's Walk. We keep the second filter as is. We open the drop-down and look for Farmer's Walk. There are several variants of the Farmer's Walk event in the list, but we are looking for the one where we move a specific distance as fast as possible. Note that there is also a search box where we can search for the event. We can confirm that the event we have chosen is what we intended and works as we expect by reading the event description. Now we are going to set up our chosen event by filling out the required fields. Note that some of the fields are marked green. This indicates that a default value has been set that in many cases don't need to be changed. It is however good practice to check them. In the first field an automatic name has been set for our event. We are happy with this name. Note that distances or weights should not be written out in the name. This information will be displayed in other places. In the weight choice field, we can specify if we want the competitors to be able to choose from multiple weights, for example if there are two sets of suitcases to choose from, one lighter and one heavier. In all events where a multiple weight choice is added, any successful result on the higher weight will always beat any result on the lower weight. For our farmer's walk, we will not use multiple weights. And straps will not be allowed. Our weight is 150 kilos. Note the pre-selected unit, which is set to kg, because we set our default measurement to the metric system at the top. We could change it here if wanted. The length of our course is 20 meters and we intend to have the competitors walk that distance twice. Note that it is the distance of each section that we enter. We set the type of turn to drop at turns, that is, the competitors will drop the suitcases, turn around, and then pick them up and walk back. We will cover the distance twice, meaning our total event distance is 40 meters. Maximum allowed time in the event is 75 seconds. In the next section the measures for the event are listed. These are automatically set for each chosen event, and do very rarely need to be changed. For advanced users, or if you are simply interested in more details, or if you need to run some event in an unconventional way, we remind you that there is extensive help to be found at each section by clicking the question mark buttons. We will keep the settings as they are. In the final section we find special settings for extraordinary cases. Again, we leave as it is and suggest to read the help if interested. There are a great many ways to customize events, but for 99% of the users, such customization is not needed. Now, we add the event, and then check in the event list further down that everything is as we intended. Let's add a second event. Deadlift for max. We filter on max weight to reduce the options in the list. There are several variants of the deadlift event in the list, but we are looking for the conventional deadlift. We will allow the usage of suit and straps. In the next field we can choose max event type. There are 5 different types, but we will go with the default one, which is set to rising weights, last man standing. Read the extensive help that can be found by pressing the question mark button to understand how the other types work. We set the type of barbell to deadlift bar. Again, if you are unsure of the difference between bars, read the help. In the next field we will specify the weights and separate them by comma. Do not use space. We start on 280 kilograms. And then add 300.5. Note the usage of data separator. 320. 340. And 360. This top weight should be enough for our competitors. We can always add more weights after the competition has started, and even when the event is running, if needed. We set max time allowed to 75 seconds. The rest we leave as is, and then add the event. Now, let's add a press medley event. This time we will use the search box instead of the drop-down list. We do get a default name but are also notified, by text, that it is good practice to change the name to be more descriptive. We are going to use a dumbbell, a log, and an Apollon's axle in our medley, so let's specify that in the name without making it too long. When others read this name later, it will say so much more than what a simple press medley would. In the medley table we will specify the different implements that will be pressed. This info is for us that are running the competition. The first implement is a dumbbell. Weight is 70 kilo. Number of reps is 1. Second implement is a log. Weight is 120 kilos and 1 rep will be performed on the implement. The third implement is the Apollon's axle. We need to click the third checkbox to enable the use of a third implement. Weight is 125 kilo. Number of reps is 2. Max time allowed is 75 seconds. We leave below fields, as is, and press the Add Event button. Navigate to the event list and verify that all is as intended. Let's say we changed our minds and want the press medley to be the second event. We can then use the arrows to change the order of the events. Now let's say we realize we want to change the maximum allowed time on the deadlift. We press the edit icon. We automatically scroll to the top of the page. We scroll down a bit to find the max time field. We change the value from 75 to 60 seconds, and then press the Update Event button. We have now added all the events we want in our competition. Also note that for test competitions, the maximum number of events that can be added are 3. In a real competition, there is no limit. Before we move on, we will take some time to talk about some of the other events and features that can be good to know about in this section. There exist several different types of medleys. The most general type is called medley or medley with distance. In our case we added a press medley event. If the medley had only consisted of logs, we would have added a log lift medley, which is more specific. There are also dumbbell medleys, Apollon's axle medleys, farmer's walk medleys and so on. The Atlas Stone medley is one of the most common events. We will take a brief look at that. The use of tacky or not is set to using tacky as default. You will recognize the medley table from before. There are, however, some differences. The object names are preset and we don't need to change anything there. There is also a field for adding the platform height. All in all, there are about 150 strongman events to choose from. In addition to the types we have shown, there are events for maximum reps, for longest distance, for highest height, and so on. Basically every strongman event ever used in any competition since the dawn of the sport can be found in the list, but if it would happen that you are running a special event that does not exist, you can set up your own by using one of the events in the list that start with Other. Worth mentioning is also the custom scoring and placing event, which can be used to set any event points and placings directly to each competitor. Now, let's navigate to the bottom of the page to see a preview of how the competition will look like in one of the table views on the competition homepage. Here we can verify that our event names work and are not extraordinarily long, and that properties such as time and distance are set as we intended. When we are satisfied, we click the Next and Save button to proceed to the next setting step. We are now at the fourth of the 5 steps, a section where we will handle cut settings. A cut is a form of elimination system from which only a certain number of competitors in the competition proceeds to finish the competition. This is similar to a qualification round, only that the scores from the pre-cut events are carried over to the post-cut competition. The points will be recalculated to exclude those that did not make the cut. It is often used to reduce the number of competitors after a few events to a more time-saving and manageable number of competitors. How the points are recalculated and what happens in certain circumstances, as when several competitors around the cut limit end up at the same point, can be a bit complicated. For those wanting to confirm details, there are several topics related to this in the advanced help in the Step 5 to study. For most of us, it is enough to trust that the system will handle every possibility smoothly and prompt us if any decisions need to be made. We are not going to include any cut in our example, but if we were, it would be really simple. First, the Use Cut checkbox is checked. Then the number of events before cut is specified. At last, the number of competitors after cut is specified. Because we will not use any cut in our example competition, we press the Next and Save button to proceed. We are now at the last of the 5 steps, a section where we can handle advanced settings and also read more in-depth help texts for certain topics. As stated in the text at the top, there is usually no need to change anything here. 99% of the competitions created will be fine with leaving the default values. Still, we are going to explore some of the possibilities available. The scoring system is default set to what is called the WSM system. It is the scoring system used in the World's Strongest Man and also in the vast majority of other competitions these days. Best place in an event will give the same number of points as there are competitors in the competition. Bottom place will give 1 point, if the competitor participated in the event. If he or she didn't, 0 points will be awarded. A no lift, that is, if the competitor tried but failed, will also award 0 points. The no-lift scoring is also the only difference between the WSM system and the second system in our list, the Arnold system. In the Arnold system, all competitors who participate in an event will receive points. Read the extensive help that can be found by pressing the question mark button to understand how the other scoring systems work. In the second field we can select what kind of separation should be used, if one or more competitor ends up with the same total points. By default, we use the WSM system, which means that we separate on best event placings when the competitors have similar points. In the Arnold system there is no separation, and we as the competition administrators will be prompted and asked if we want to do a manual separation or if competitors share placings, should they end up on the same points. A bit further down, we have a setting that can be turned on to delay the publication of the competition. The point calculation is run as usual, but no one can follow the results live, and no results will be published before the date that we specify. We are not going to use such a functionality, so we press the Save Settings button. But there are still some interesting things left to explore on this page. Scrolling down we find an extensive help section for those that are interested in details. These topics can also be found under the Help and FAQ. Another thing that is worth mentioning, that only exists in real competitions, is that we can create a test copy of our competition. This is as easy as pressing a button. We then have a clone of the competition that we can run, in which we can play around and test the events etc., all to learn how it will work on competition day. If we move on, we find functionality to remove all of the results in a competition. It will also reset a started competition to not started. This mostly comes in handy in test competitions where we might want to try out running events over and over again, but it can also function as a backup in a real competition if we have made some major errors along the way that we want to reset. The only restriction on this functionality is that the competition cannot be finished. Further down we can add a background image, that will be transparent and seen under result tables, for those viewing the results in what is called display mode. This is basically a large screen in full screen mode. This mode is commonly used by us running the competition on the competition day, if we have access to a large screen to display the results on, for audiences or competitors. The image will always fill the window, but it might be clipped. Be sure to test the look of the image on a screen with similar ratio as the screen that will be used on competition day, and make sure the image has a solid background and is not transparent, or it will not display well. Let us add a background image to see how that looks. Press the Choose File button. Browse and locate the image that we want to select. Press the Upload button. A notification displays at the bottom, telling us that the image was successfully uploaded. Press the Preview Background Image button. Press the Escape button to return. If we decide to remove the image, we press the Remove Uploaded Background Image button. In this tutorial, we will remove it. We can also add a custom banner that will be shown at the top of the competition's homepage. The banner can be added to promote your brand or sponsor, or for effect. If you upload more than one image, previous images will be overwritten. Browse and locate the banner that we want to select. Press the Upload button. A notification displays at the bottom, telling us that the banner was successfully uploaded. Press the Preview Banner button. Press the Back button to return. If we decide to remove the banner, we press the Remove Uploaded Banner button. If we want to include a banner link, we add that in this field. Scroll to the top. If we want to make the competition public, that is if everyone should be able to find it in the Strength Results application, we press the Make Competition Public button. For a test competition, this will not make the competition public. If we regret our decision, we can press the Undo Publication button. We are finished with setting up the competition. We have gone through the 5 steps, and we have seen that in most cases it is in the first 3 steps we actually need to give input. Should we want to, we can now run the competition, and even if we won't, we can still press the Run Competition button. It will only take us to the next page, not actually start the competition. This is the page where we can run our competition and get points calculated automatically. We are met by a warning text that notifies us that some of our competitors have missing birth dates. If you remember from the competitor settings, we did not specify the birth date on the new profile that we created ourselves. Since this is a test competition, we can still start the competition, but if this were a real competition we would be forced to enter the birth dates before proceeding. Of course, if this actually were a real competition, we would also have the competitors next to us, and we could simply ask them for their birth dates. And if you're wondering why the birth dates are a requirement, it's simply that otherwise there would be no way to distinguish between competitors that have the same name. Now, in a test competition, we are blocked from editing profiles, so for the sake of this tutorial, we will open up another tab with a real competition and show how to edit a profile with a missing birth date. We are now in the competitor step in a real competition, and we scroll down to the bottom. Here we locate the competitor with missing birth date and press the edit icon. A pop-up appears. Uncheck the Missing Birth Date checkbox. Clear the input field and then enter the birth date. Then we scroll to the bottom and press the Update button. The birth date has now been updated, and this can be seen by a blue checkmark in the Profile Valid column. We close the tab and return to our original competition. Here we press the Start Competition button. In a real competition we would do this shortly before the competition. A pop-up appears where we need to verify that we are starting a test competition. The second pop-up informs us about the limitation that will be put into place once we start the competition. In each pop-up we can abort starting of the competition, if we wish. The third pop-up asks us to confirm the competitors in their start order. We realize that we haven't shuffled the start order yet, so we press Modify. We end up in the competitors step again, where we scroll down and hit the Shuffle button. Now we head back to the Run Competition page, start the competition again, and click through the pop-ups that we already have confirmed before. The fourth pop-up asks us to confirm the events and their settings. This looks fine to us, so we press Start Competition. To the left in this view, we see what we call the Input view. To the right, we see the Output view. For wide screens it is advantageous to use the split screen as we do now. The system determines the size of your screen and sets this mode, or not, by default, but you can always change it. Let's uncheck it to see how that looks. The Output view can now be found under the Input view. Plenty of more space for each view. We have a wide monitor, which is best suited for split mode, so we check the box to get back to split view. Now, let's look into more details in the Input view. At the top we have a drop-down with all the events. It is pre-selected to the first event, according to the order of events that we have set. We can move between events but they have to run in order. If we want to change the order, we can always head back to the event settings. In the second drop-down, we find all the competitors. The competitor next in line is always chosen automatically, but we can manually select another competitor if we want to either go back or skip ahead. Under the competitor drop-down, we find the input fields for the measurements belonging to the selected event. We see one field for distance and one field for time. The distance is preset to the maximum distance. If the competitor went the complete distance, we only need to input the time. Let's input 22.51 seconds. Press the Add button. The result is immediately seen in the table to the right. Those following the competition live on the competition homepage would see it at the same time. Notice now that the selected competitor has automatically been set to the next in line. Let's assume this competitor only went 24 meters. Notice that the time field has automatically been set at the maximum time of 75 seconds, because the competitor did not complete the whole distance under the maximum time limit. Press the Add button. Let us add results for the two remaining competitors. Enter 23 seconds in the time field and press the Add button. For the last competitor, We enter 23 seconds also and press the Add button. Notice how all the results were automatically calculated in an instant and the table sorts itself on the event points. The points have been split on the competitors that had the same results. In the drop-down that decides what to sort on, it has automatically been set to sort on event points. Let's take some time to look at the output view in more detail. We can choose what measurement unit to show, by clicking on any of the corresponding checkboxes. The default is set to show the units specified in the competition. That can be a mix of the metric system and imperial system. We check the imperial units and observe that the units on the distance changes to feet and inches. Let's change back. We click the checkbox that shows a smaller table and short names. Notice how the first and middle names are written out with one letter. Also note that the table and its style is smaller. We change back. There are a couple of different views that show different information. We are now in the Details view, which shows the selected event and nothing more. Let's switch to Overview and check that out. Here we see a table with all of the events. We can click on a couple of checkboxes to show more information about the events. Notice all the detailed information being displayed in the table. Let's switch to the Finish Position view. This view shows how many event placings and what kind of event placings the competitors have. This is mostly interesting at the end of the competition when competitors have ended up at the same points. Also remember that the system automatically handles this information and how to sort competitors on same points. The graph view shows a graph over the event points. Because we only have finished one event, there is nothing to see there yet. Let's head back over to the Details view again. It is really easy to change the result on any competitor, if we want to do that. Select Hafthor Julius Björnsson. Change time to 22 seconds. Press the Change button. Notice how the results have been changed in the table. Let's press the Next Event button and continue. As can be seen in the event drop-down, we now have the second event selected. This is a medley event, so the input controls will differ from the previous event. In the first drop-down, we select the final object that was completed by the competitor. Take note that it is the final object completed, not the final object that was tried and failed. For our first competitor, we select No Object Completed. Leave the other fields as is and press the Add button. For our second competitor, we select Log 120 kilograms. In the second field we fill out the time it took for the competitor to complete his last object. The time can also be set to the max allowed time if you select the failed object in the next drop-down. Set time to 15 seconds. In the third step we select the object at which the time was taken at. Our time was taken when the log lift was completed. That object is selected automatically, so we leave it at that. If no time was taken, we could enter the max time. Press the Add button. For our third competitor, we select Apollon, 1 repetition. Set time to 20.51 seconds. Leave third field as is and press the Add button. For our last competitor, we select Apollon, 2 repetition. Set time to 25 seconds. Leave third field as is and press the Add button. This completes the event. The results are automatically calculated. Let's check the table. If we want to sort on total points, we can select total points in the drop-down to sort on that. We click on Overview to see how that view looks now. 2 events are finished and we see all the results for those. The Overview table is always sorted on total points. Head back to the Details view. Press the Next Event button. The final event is a max event. The controls for this kind of event differs from the 2 previous events. We are going to open up a new tab and navigate to our competition, to show how it looks like when we follow a live competition and get instant results. In the menu, navigate to Competitions, then Find. Click on the competition. We switch back to our original view. Remember the weights that we entered for this event when we went through the setting steps? Those weights are now listed in different rounds. We are going to press the Good Lift button to indicate that the lift was successful. After we press the button, we are going to switch over to our new tab to show you how fast the result updates and how it looks like. For you who follow this tutorial, we recommend that you open up the competition homepage in your mobile phone as well to try that out. As you can see, the result appears instantaneously and the result is shown in a very large font for a short while. The result can also be seen in the table. We switch back over to our original tab. The next competitor, based on start order, has automatically been selected. Click the Fail button to indicate that the competitor failed the lift. Click the Skip button to indicate that the competitor skipped the lift. Click the Skip this and all coming lifts button to indicate that the competitor skipped this and all coming lifts. We want to indicate that Eddie Hall is going to skip the lift on 320 kilos. We press the icon on Eddie Hall's row and the column corresponding to the 320 kilos. This is a toggle button, so it can be changed again if we would like. Press the Good Lift button. Press the Good Lift button again. The system now skipped Eddie Hall's lift on 320 kilos, as intended. Press the Fail button. It is now Eddie Hall's turn. Press the Good Lift button. Let's say Eddie Hall has decided to stop here. We all know he is good for more, but there is no point for him to continue lifting, so we press the button that indicates that the event is finished. The event is set to finished, and we have now added results for all events. At the top a button appears where we can set the competition to finished. Let's first assume that we realize we had entered a good lift on a competitor, when it should have been a fail. We can then simply change this directly in the relevant round, by clicking the Edit button. If we change this lift to a fail, the table will update and also the results. Let's check the detailed result table. The sorting is now automatically set on total points. Check the overview. When and if we decide that all results have been inputted correctly, we can go ahead and press the button to finish the competition. A pop-up appears with a message that once we press the Finish Competition button, no events can be added or deleted. We can, however, for 7 days, change most results and other settings. Press the Finish Competition button. The competition is now finished and saved on the Strength Results website for all history. All results and information about the competition are automatically updated in the Statistics section, as are all the statistics based on lifts such as event records, profile best lifts, and more. This is the end of the basic tutorial. We follow this with a slightly more advanced section, where we will take a look at such things as deleting and updating events while the competition is running, using cut and related options, and how the competitor separation works on same total points. For those of you not interested in these details, it is fine to leave at this point. We thank you for your attention and wish you good luck with your future competitions. See you on Strength Results. Still here? Then let's continue. We have prepared a couple of competitions that we will use to demonstrate some situations and concepts. We'll add these in new tabs. Let's have a look at the first competition. We are in the Run Competition section. We have added a couple of results in the second event. Let us assume that we want to remove the started event for some reason. Maybe it has started to rain and we have to change to another event, or it might have been an event we set up wrongly and didn't realize it until we started it. Maybe frame carry was specified but it was actually a farmer's walk. Whatever the reason, we will show you how to delete this event and change it for a new. If the results are going to be entered again, be sure to save them in your notes before deleting the event. Navigate to the event settings. Scroll down to the event list. We can see that the event we want to remove is ongoing. Note the little blue icon. And that the first event has been finished. Note the red colors. The Remove button is disabled on the first event. The only way to remove that event would be to first head over to Advanced Settings and clear all results in the competition. We want to remove our ongoing event, so we press the Delete Event button on the second event. A pop-up appears in which you need to confirm the deletion of an ongoing event. Press the Delete button. From here we can add a new event or continue with the competition. If you add a new event, make sure that you move the event to the correct order in the list. How to do that was shown in the basic tutorial. This ends the first advanced example. We close down this tab and continue with another competition. In this competition we will show you a couple of concepts related to using a cut. We have added the following competitors. Navigating to event settings, we have specified the following events. We navigate to cut settings and check the Use Cut checkbox. Then set the number of events before cut to 1. And the number of competitors after cut to 4. We save and continue through to the Run Competition section. Here we start the competition and step through all of the pop-ups. In the first event we simply press the good lift 5 times and then the fail button 1 time. Then we set the event to finished. A pop-up appears. It explains that we have 5 competitors that have the same total points coming into the cut, but we have specified that only 4 competitors should actually pass the cut. We now need to make a decision on how to proceed. There are different choices that can be made. These choices will decide how many, and who will pass the cut. If we select the generous option, we will decide on total points only. Since all have the same total points, all 5 competitors will pass the cut. Whatever choice we select, the table will show what competitors that will make the cut. If a competitor will not make the cut, it will be shown with a red strike through. Like shown here if we select strict. There is an explanation below on what each choice means. The final option allows us to make our own choice about who should make the cut. The outcome can, for example, be decided by a coin toss, or an extra event, or additional lift where only the competitors in question participate. Note that we can only select 4 people, the number of people we had configured in our settings. In the end we decide to go with generous in this tutorial. We select it and then press the I have made my choice button. Let's take a look at the table. There are 2 new columns compared to what we have seen before. One column that shows the event points before cut, and one column that shows the total points before cut. Because there is a recalculation of points after cut, we can see that the event points differ from those that are before the cut. Press the Next Event button. As can be seen in the table, we now only have 5 competitors left. Let's say that we need to change who passed the cut. We can do that by pressing the Change Who Passed the Cut button. We select those competitors that we want, and press the I have made my choice button. The table now shows the competitors we selected. It is good practice to write a comment about your choice so that the viewers of the competition understand how the decision process went. We do that by clicking here. Write a message. Save. This ends the second example and we close down this tab and move on to the next competition. In this competition we will show you information about the final position separation. We have prepared this scenario in advance. We are at the third and final event. We will add a result for the last competitor. Press the Add button. A pop-up appears. It tells us that 2 or more competitors have the same total points. They might even have the same event placings, if we have selected the WSM settings. This requires an active choice to be made about which competitor will get which placing. The table shows the competitors. Those that cannot be separated and have the same points, are marked in the same color. We can choose from 3 options. Computer Sort, Unsort, and Do Not Separate. The computer sort will always manage to separate the competitors, but it might use such things as start order as a final separator. This might not be what we wanted, especially since it might be considered as something not based on performance. We can do our own separation if we select the Unsort option. The outcome might be decided by an extra event or additional lift where only the competitors in question participate. The final option that we can choose is Do Not Separate. This will allow 2 or more competitors to end up at the same placings, as you can see here. We are happy with this choice and we press the I have made my choice button. We observe in the table that the placings are as we intended. Before finishing this competition, we would like to show some tools that might be useful. If we need to save any comments that the viewers of the competition will be able to read, we can add them here. If we need assistance, we can try to contact Strength Results from a live chat. Expand this region and write your message here. Bear in mind that there is no guarantee that there is someone on the other side available to answer. We can also chat live with viewers of this competition. Expand this region and write your message here. This could be used, for example, to notify that the competition or an event has been delayed. Now, let's set our competition to finished. This ends the third and final advanced example. We thank you for your attention and wish you good luck with your future competitions. See you on Strength Results.